All right, what's going on, my friends? It's now 3 o'clock. Chad here. Your Portland Trailblazers are back in action tonight as they conclude their three-game road trip in Utah against the Jazz. Tip-off is at 6. Chris Burkhardt will have Blazers game day starting at 4. Every Trailblazer game streams live on our free iHeartRadio app, and our Trailblazer insider Sean Highkin is going to join me coming up at 3:20 here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Portland is 2-2 on the year. They're going to host the Denver Nuggets Friday at Moda Center after tonight's game against the Jazz. World Series Game 5 tonight from Dodgers Stadium. That series tied up at 2 after the Blue Jays' 6-2 win last night. First pitch at 5 on Fox. Savage and Snell is your pitching matchup. The Dodgers a big favorite in Game 5. Rip City Drive with Chad Doing is coming at you right now.
Live from the Coors Light Studios, it's time for the Rip City Drive, hosted by the crazy and often irrational Chad Doing. Coors Light, mountain cold refreshment. Choose chill.
2-1. Vladdy hits it high. Left field. Hernandez back on the track. Looks up. It is gone. Placatop. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. puts them in the lead with a 2-run shot. 2-1 Blue Jays in the top of the third. The 2-1. Cole hits it in the air out to left. Straw going back. Makes the grab. The Blue Jays tie the series. One night after heartbreak, they beat the Dodgers 6-2, and it is a best of 3 now for the World Series.
Strap in. The Rip City Drive with Chad Doing starts now.
Well, another big sports night coming right at us. World Series game number 5 with the Dodgers and Blue Jays coming up at 5 o'clock. I hope this game doesn't go 18 innings. Last night was kind of a buzzkill with the Blue Jays. They opened things up, and the Dodger bullpen faded quickly with Trinan, and the Blue Jays get the win, even up that series of 2. Props to them for bouncing back after that, package blast they got in game number 3 that went 18 innings, and they came up short, and they turn around and come out and get the win. That was impressive. And I thought Bieber did a good job of being able to manage the Dodgers lineup. And also Vladimir Guerrero Jr., not Ohtani, but he's been clutch throughout the postseason. He came up with the big hit, and the Blue Jays pitching did the rest. And now tonight, Savage against Blake Snell. Snell and the Dodgers, big favorites tonight, and obviously this is an important game. So we'll see how things shake out. The Mariners took Game 5, went back to Toronto with a 3-2 series lead and blew it. The Dodgers, you would think, with Yamamoto scheduled in Game 6, if they can get the game tonight, they're in a great position to win back-to-back titles. So we'll see how it shakes out, but I'm looking forward to that. The baseball playoffs this year have been fantastic. There's been a number of, drama-filled moments, and I think a lot of people are getting a chance to see baseball in a different light. Maybe people that don't watch a ton of baseball getting a good taste of postseason baseball, and they're like, wow, this is awesome. So that's going to be nice. Now, the Trailblazers off to a 2-2 start, not bad considering the schedule, and they're going to have a game tonight in Utah, which traditionally over the years has been a bad place for the Blazers to get a win. But if you get this one tonight against a scrappy Utah group, you come back home at 3-2. Not bad considering the schedule to start the year. And they got the Denver Nuggets coming to town on Halloween. So I'm excited. I love watching this team play basketball right now. Everyone I've talked to pretty much says the same thing. I love how hard they play, and they're getting the defense. They've got defense. And so I think people are enjoying watching them compete. And also just, the amount of guys that are playing right now where they're going basically 10 deep and trying to cycle guys on and off the floor. to keep them rested because they're expending a ton of energy. And as I told you yesterday, they're going to win games this year just on the basis of outworking their opponents. It's pretty simple. They're just going to outwork teams. So there you have it. Blazers, Jazz coming up tonight. Tip-off is at 6. Travis Demers will have the call. It's all right here in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. And then we have Blazers Game Day coming up here at the top of the hour 4 with Chris Burkhart. And then I'll have the network pregame show at 5 o'clock. Each and every game throughout the year streams live on our free iHeartRadio app. So it's a genius way for you to be able to listen to the game if you're out there bumping around. You know, sometimes you get asked to do this. You got to go here. You got to pick up the kids over there. Your wife wants you to go over here. You know the whole routine. Life. So the app is a great way to keep up on the games and be able to listen. And it's that simple. So there you have it. Outside of that, we're getting ready for another weekend of football. I'll get to my thoughts on Kirk Herbstreit coming up here in about 40 minutes. And Tony Romo, two guys that I'm out on. I've been out on Romo for a while. Well, gee, I don't know, Jim. Hey, Tony, please close your mouth. You're too crazy. Jim Nantz is a national treasure. He's one of the best, and he does not need your help calling a game. Stop trampling over Jim Nantz, okay? He's a treasure. You are annoying. And Kirk Herbstreit, after that act we saw last night or last week on Thursday Night Prime, where he was criticizing Carson Wentz, and come to find out Wentz was battling through significant injury and showing toughness, I'm done with him. I'm done with Herbstreit and his dogs, and I'm done with his holier-than-thou act. I can't take it anymore. So I'm done. Used to like him, but like a hit song, it's just too much. I've heard it too many times. Enough with the dogs already, too, by the way. You're a dog lover. Good for you. You want a cookie? I love dogs. I love Puppy Shots. He's my little buddy. Oh, my goodness. It drives you crazy. But the criticism of players, when you don't really know what's going on, that drives me crazy. Also, the Giants have confirmed Cam Scatterboo is done for the year. Horrifying injury. I don't want to see injuries. I don't want to watch guys get hurt. And I don't like it when players I love put their foot on backwards on a football field. That's not a good situation. And I've never dislocated my ankle, but I'll take Cam's word for it or anybody else's word for it. I'm guessing that doesn't feel very good. Dislocation of anything. It's like, yay. I've seen guys dislocate fingers. We've seen guys with their shoulders pop out and they run over to the sideline and someone rams it back in. I don't need someone ramming that back in. I don't need that in my life. But I love Cam Scatterboo, and I'm going to be praying for him. And if there's one player in the NFL that can battle back from a gruesome injury, it'd be him. Because, you know, he's going to work his tail off. And he's going to, you know, get after it in the rehab room. And I just feel bad for any player that's got to deal with a significant injury because they're detached from the rest of the dudes, the team. And they got to go about the process mostly in isolation. And that's terrible for any player because athletes love to be a part of the group and be around the dudes. That's really what it's all about. Outside of that, other things that have jumped out at me, Victor Wembanyama is a problem. Here's a question for you. Who would you rather have over the next 5 years in the NBA? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka, or Wemby? I am amazed when I watch Wembanyama play basketball because of his size, the way he can handle the rock, the way he's able to shoot from deep. He can put the ball on the floor and attack the rim. He is a ridiculous shot blocker. I hate that San Antonio got him. I hate it. I don't like Greg Popovich either. The constant grumpiness, it's like, dude, you have millions of dollars. Why are you always grumpy? And why are you always preaching to me? Please shut up. Why did they get him? We don't need that. They've had enough good fortune in their time, and now they get Victor. He's unbelievable. But I also give props to Luka, and I love watching him play. It's too bad he's got to play for such a pathetic franchise like the Lakers. But he does. But he went about getting himself into shape. And I'm glad he did that because he'll probably win MVP this year, and then he can make Dallas look dumb. Real dumb. We traded Luka. That's not something you want on your resume, but yet it's on their resume. Not a good move. I also love how the NBA came out with this memo suggesting that they need to make sure that they communicate to the players the dangers of gambling. Yeah, you probably should. And I love the NCAA, too, coming out with this rule starting on November 1st that the players and the staffers can now wager on NFL games. Gambling's dangerous, and it could be bad for the sport, and people could get themselves into trouble and look for ways out that aren't exactly above the law or exactly, how should I say that? Above board, but you guys can bet on NFL games. What, you idiots? Like, I understand that you're afraid that you're going to get punished in the courts again because the NCAA is filled with a bunch of idiots. And every time they go to court, they just get drop kicked because they've been screwing over the players for decades. Oh, you can't have a job. Why not? Because we said, okay, that's cool. Thanks. And by the way, we're going to make millions off your name, image, and likeness, but you're not allowed to sign autographs for a couple of bucks. And if someone buys you a sandwich because you're starving, that's a violation too. But you're getting free room and board and an education. That's so much bullcrap. And I love all the idiots, too, who are now late to the party. Well, it's probably a good idea that players get paid. You think? So anyways, I don't even know where I'm going with that, to be honest with you. My mind is scattered right now. I got too much. I worked out today. I feel great. I'm feeling great. The sunshine is out, and I'm excited about sports. Is that good enough for you? That's where I'm at right now. I'm excited about sports as long as Tony Romo and Kirk Herbstreit aren't talking to me. I'm done. I am going to start muting people. I don't need it in my life anymore. You know how you just screen people out when they call you because you know you don't want to hear their voice, even if they're a friend or a family member, because you're like, they talk too much. You basically mute them. I'm going to start doing that to broadcasters that I'm done with. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. John Smoltz is getting close, too. He needs to be a little bit more quiet. I need Joe Buck back. I never thought I would say that, but I want Buck back. Joe Davis is a nice guy, but he's not Buck. And John Smoltz is being a little too chatty right now. I'm just going to start muting broadcasters that I've had enough of. Much like what you guys do when I come on the radio. You're just like, I can't deal with Chad today. I'm just going to hit another button. I understand. And Tony Romo, though, it's like, come on, man, that's Jim Nantz. I'm one of the few. I actually liked Phil Simms, and I thought he and Nantz were good together, but they had to make that change and bring in Romo. Thanks for nothing. And now we got Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels. And I love Al. Al Michaels is awesome, but he's not the Al Michaels of 5 or 10 years ago or 20 or 30 years ago. Not the same guy. And you got Herbstreit out there criticizing and preaching and talking about his dogs too much. So there you have it. But at least we still have Kevin Calabro and Lamar Hurd. I can listen to that. I can listen to Travis Demers. But yeah, Wemby's a problem. Wemby's a serious problem. And I hope that NBC is able to do more with Michael Jordan since he's a part of their broadcast team than the occasional sit down with Mike Tirico. Hey, MJ, I know that you're worth like billions of dollars and you don't have to do anything, but why don't you invest a little more time? You should show up on site once in a while because I want you in my life. I want MJ talking to me about basketball. I need that. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Sean Highkin's coming up next. We'll talk about the team. Really excited about where they're at right now at 2-2, but most importantly, the energy in which they're playing with. Game in Utah tonight. Sean Highkin's up next. You can reach out to me on social X at Chad and Rip City. You can call the show at 503-248-0620. Every Tuesday throughout the entire basketball season is Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, where I will give you free tickets to go to games at Moda Center just by listening to me, courtesy of me and your Trailblazers. Sean Highkin's up next. All right, this guy is all over the Portland Trailblazers. You got to read him at rosegardenreport.com. You can follow him on social at Highkin. Our Trailblazer insider, Sean Highkin, is back on the program. Sean, over the next 5 years, you can have one player, Luka, Wemby, or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Who would it be?
Wemby. Because of the age.
He's so young, and he's starting to
and
really
I think he's
blossom.
also just, and he's just doing physically things that like you've never seen people do before.
It's almost like it's not even fair, Sean. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is, yeah.
I mean, I was looking back, and I was trying to think of all the different unique players I've seen. Shaq was unique because of his size. Anthony Davis being a big at his size that could handle the rock the way he did. But the combination of athleticism, skill, shooting ability, his shot blocking capabilities like Wemby, I'm concerned. And it's weird because the West is so deep that you forget about Wemby and the Spurs sometimes.
Yeah, but I mean, now that they have a real roster around, I mean, like you look at how good Dylan Harper has looked so far. You look at Stephen Castle, even winning Rookie of the Year, the leap that he's made in year two. Like they could be pretty dangerous.
Oh, speaking of young,
we can stay healthy.
Yeah, speaking of young players, what are your thoughts on VJ Edgecombe so far?
He looks awesome. He's from what I've been able to see, he looks like if Cooper Flagg takes some time to develop and has trouble adjusting to the role that the Mavericks are having in play where he's handling the ball a lot, then I definitely could see VJ Edgecombe winning Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, no question. The other thing I like too, it feels like the Sixers have kind of said, "Hey, Maxey, this is your team," and he doesn't get the hype because he's not a big name in the NBA, but I sure love watching him play. Man, he can score in bunches.
Yeah, I think the Sixers are in, obviously last year was just kind of the disaster year for them with all the Embiid injury stuff and, Paul George not being as good as they thought they'd be when they signed him. They're a lot more fun this year.
There's no question about it. Speaking of fun, the Trailblazers, the biggest thing I've gotten, you've probably gotten the same thing from Blazer fans. They're so much fun to watch and they play really hard. And I think people are noticing the defense. But what is your big takeaway from seeing them through 4 games at 2-2?
They are pretty much doing everything they talked about doing in training camp, really at both ends of the floor. Like the defense has been as advertised. The offense, I think, is it's kind of up and down at this point. And you saw in the Minnesota game that they lost, and you saw in the Clipper game that they lost that they've had some issues with shot making, and that's just kind of a personnel thing, I think. But it's pretty. This is how they said they wanted to play, and they're following through on it.
Now that I'm seeing them play, how hard they play, obviously I'm concerned about fatigue or guys getting hurt because they're playing so hard right now. But is that part of the design of getting 10 guys shuffled in and off the floor to provide some rest when needed for the guys who are out there balling?
That's something that the coaching staff has talked about really since training. Like Chauncey Billups talked about it before training camp, and obviously since Thiago Splitter took over as interim head coach, he's been kind of approaching it the same way. You're seeing guys playing shorter stints, guys subbing out more often, more guys getting in the rotation, and if you're going to play that fast, that's just kind of what you have to do.
All right. The biggest concern I've seen through 4 games has been Shaedon Sharp's, lack of production on offense. He's shooting a low percentage. I'm not concerned about it at all. We'll deal with the offense in just a moment. What are you seeing from Shaedon so far on the defensive end of the floor?
I mean, is he ever going to be is he Toumani Camara on the defensive end or Danny Avdia? No, he's not. But I think he's been a lot more engaged on that end, even as he's been not shooting very well. So I think everything but the shot making and the turnovers have been kind of a problem for him. But everything else he's been doing, I think overall he's not just like a complete zero out there at both ends of the floor. And I think the shooting is going to come around. Yeah,
the shooting is going to be there. 4 games, 3 games, not really a sample size to draw any conclusions from. That game against the Lakers, I thought provided a perfect example of what this team's about. I contend that the majority of teams in the NBA on most nights, because of their constant travel schedule, are not going to have their best offense. So you've got to find other ways to win games, to manufacture points. How about that third quarter where they cranked up the defensive intensity and were able to get 13 points off of 10 turnovers? They found a way to get buckets on a night when, it took them a while to get some things going from the perimeter.
That's been kind of those are the few things that I think have been like their biggest successes so far. One is to your point, the turnovers. I think getting to the free throw line is something they've excelled at so far. And then also the offensive rebounding battle. Like if they are going to have this much trouble scoring and this much trouble shooting, at least getting some second chance opportunities is pretty helpful. So they've kind of figured out what the recipe for success is, at least in the short term, and then we'll just have to see kind of what else comes around that are kind of their weaknesses right now.
I heard you, or I saw your social post. You were down at Intuit Dome for the Clippers game. FBI chants from the Clippers fans on multiple occasions. I got, Clipper fans got to give it up to them. That's pretty creative in terms of trying to taunt an opponent.
Well, it would be more creative. It would be more. I would have enjoyed that more if it was any other fan base doing it, because the Clippers kind of have their own stuff to worry about right now, I feel like.
Yes, I mean, that's what I thought. It's pretty rich coming from a fan base whose owner is in the crosshairs for potentially circumventing the salary cap with this Aspire company. It's like, come on, man. Clipper fans, settle down.
Well, like the FBI is not involved in that one, but it's still like... Like, I don't know if that's necessarily the fan base that should be doing that.
The other thing I've been asked a lot of, and you've been around the players, like, what type of an impact did the news have on them? I mean, I would imagine they were stunned, and I know that they have a lot of respect and like Coach Billups a lot, but how are they dealing with it? What's your take on that?
You know what? I've been kind of shocked by how much it just hasn't come up at all, really, in the last week. Like, obviously, at the Warriors game last Friday, the day after the news broke, everybody was still kind of trying to process it and trying to figure out what was going on, and everybody was still a little bit shocked by it. But since then, really, everybody, both the players and like the coaching staff and the front office staff, everybody that I've talked to, on and off the record, everybody that I've talked to has just been like, you know what, it is what it is. We just got to move forward. It's kind of crazy that they're basically treating it like, how like if a star player gets injured, they just say, well, next man up. We can't do anything about it. That's kind of how they're treating this situation, which is kind of wild considering what this situation is and how unprecedented of a situation this is for a team to have, happen this early into a season. But they've been, and I think Tiago Splitter gets a lot of credit for this too, but they've been pretty much just tunnel vision, like we're focusing on what's in front of us. We're controlling what we can control. And yes, obviously this isn't an ideal situation. This isn't something anybody wanted or could have seen coming, but they seem like they're, everything is just kind of business as usual ever since, this news broke last week.
How fortunate are they to have a guy like Tiago Splitter on the bench? I like his demeanor. He's got experience, but he does appear to be handling things pretty well considering the difficult situation he's in.
Yeah, that's a tough spot for any coach to be in because obviously, you get hired as an assistant coach. Eventually your goal is to be a head coach in the NBA, and, you obviously don't want it to be under the circumstances that he's signing himself under, but he's been very on message. He's been very like, we're focusing on what's in front of us. We're going to keep playing the same way. And the other thing, I think the thing that's very, important to keep in mind here, obviously, as much as like Chauncey Billups has been like the face of the franchise for several years, and he, has kind of been the guy that put down this identity that they've been building. Tiago Splitter was the one that was putting in this new offense that they've been, he was very instrumental in kind of developing this way that they play that they've been developing over the course of the offseason. So, you have him in charge. It's not like he's going to come in and like have his own ideas that are completely different from what they've already been doing. So that's kind of allowed it to be a pretty seamless transition.
I would agree with that. The other good sign for me is we've seen this now from multiple opponents. Steve Kerr and his comments following the game last Friday. We got comments in regards to the level of competition from the Blazers from Anthony Edwards. J.J. Redick went out of his way to compliment Drew Holiday and how he blew up the game the other night. Like, these are people that would not say those things unless they truly believed it. That's a good sign in terms of how they're competing. What's your takeaway on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, these teams and these players and these coaches, they know who's good and they know who's playing a certain way. They know who they don't like playing against, and that's been the goal of this team the whole time, is to be a team that teams don't like playing against. And so far, it seems like they've been able to establish that identity.
What are your thoughts on the game tonight against Utah? I mean, it seems to me like it's not going to be an easy win. They're going to have to fight for this one.
Well, I could easily see it being kind of a trap game. This this is, I hate to say the word favored because there's been all this gambling stuff going on lately, but in the first month of the season, this is probably the only game they're going to be favored in going in. Because the Jazz, we know kind of what the Jazz are about, and they're tanking, they're trying to get a lottery pick. That's kind of the mode that they're in right now. So you would think that this would be kind of an easy win for the Blazers, but I'll be really interested to see how because if they come back from this 3-game road trip, the first 5 games of the season, they're 3-2. They're in pretty good shape. But if I could also kind of see this being. This being the game where, they've had so much, it's just been so go, go, go ever since this news broke. They played the next night and then they played the back-to-back games in L.A. I could maybe see this being a night where everything just kind of starts to catch up to them a little bit and it's just kind of a, emotional, letdown game. But I could also see it, because they're so much more talented than the Jazz, I could see them also just taking care of business like they did against that shorthanded Laker team the other night.
Are you in Salt Lake City, or did you come back home after the L.A. trip?
I'm in Salt Lake City. I'm going to head over there as soon as we get off this call.
That's awesome. Where does Salt Lake City rank on ease of use and the whole setup there for other NBA cities that you go to?
Easier than L.A., I'll tell you that.
Well, especially with all the traffic down there. You got the World Series. It's kind of one of the epicenters, man. You're right in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Mess.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Well, I tell you what, Sean, I appreciate you. You're going to join me again tomorrow, but enjoy the game tonight, and hopefully the Blazers. We'll see what they can do. Get a win, come back home at 3-2. But if they get the win tonight, come back home at 3-2 with the first 5 games they've had, they got to feel pretty good about that.
They're definitely in good shape, and the 2 games that they lost were games that they easily could have won, and they were games both against good teams with the Timberwolves and the Clippers too. So
yeah. Oh,
they haven't been out of any game.
You're right. And by the way, I thought the game against the Lakers, the first half, a poster child for why the NBA should eliminate the second of back-to-backs. The officiating, the gameplay, 44 turnovers. I mean, we had things happening at the scorers table when they didn't explain what was going on, buckets being taken away. It was a big bowl of wrong there for a while, Sean. Crazy. You
texted me when the Shaden Sharp 3-pointer got taken off, and you asked me why it was, and I was like, I don't know. They didn't tell us.
I know. I was running around Blazer Broadcasting trying to get an explanation from somebody somehow to let Travis know, but no one knew. And then I text you, and you're like, "Beats me. Your guess is as good as mine." Yeah. Thanks for nothing, guys. We appreciate that. Sean Highkin, you can hear him on 620 Rip City Radio with the Trailblazer Insider Show. Also, read him at rosegardenreport.com, and he'll join me again tomorrow. Sean, enjoy the game tonight, my friend. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
There you have it. Yeah, I want the win tonight badly. You go to 3-2. Coming off this road trip, you got to feel pretty good about that. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. All right, I got a few minutes before we got to go to commercial. I want to play this clip. I stumbled across this. I don't know if you've heard this, but I'm fascinated by it. Okay, so when you're watching like a football game and you see the quarterback over on the sideline and he's got like one of those old school phones and he's talking to somebody like up in the booth or whatever. Usually it's like a red phone. It's like the bat phone, right? Usually the quarterback gets on there and he's probably getting chewed out by the offensive coordinator. Well, Joe Montana did something interesting with the red phone. I've never heard this story, but I think it's hilarious. Take a listen to Joseph talking about what he figured out with those red phones.
I don't know what made me do it, but one day I'd hung up and I'm sitting there going, I wonder if these things call out. So I picked up the phone, I hit, what do you do normally? Hit 9, right? Gives you an outside line. I hit 9, got a dial tone. I dialed my house.
And the phone would ring, and I'd pick it up, and it'd be Joe. I go, what are you doing?
I go, hey, how you doing? What are you doing? What do you do? Who is it? What are you doing? Where are you calling me from?
He goes, I'm calling you. I'm calling you to say I love you. And I go, I love you. How are you calling? He goes, they have an outside line. I check in every stadium.
I go, on the sideline phone. I found out that it calls. So I thought I'd give you a call since I'm just sitting here waiting to go on the field.
How great is that? Isn't that awesome? Like, we sit there and think, our quarterbacks, Joe Montana, John Elway, all they do is think about football all the time. No, not really. When you're that good and your nickname's Joe Cool, you can be sitting on the sideline waiting to go back in a game, and then you're like, I wonder if you can dial out on these son of guns. And he hits 9, gets a dial tone, and calls his wife up. Hey, babe, I love you. All right, I got to go back on the field now, but just enjoy your afternoon. Love that so much. Like, you could really screw with some of your buddies, too, if you wanted to. I love that. That's so good. Can you dial out on these things? I don't know. Let me try. Hit the 9 and get the dial tone. Now, a lot of you youngsters out there have no idea what we're even talking about here. There used to be a day and age. I lived in a place in Colorado where we had this thing called a party line, meaning you shared the line with multiple households in the area. So there would be times where I'd be trying to call one of my boys. You'd pick up the phone, and it'd be some people you don't even know talking, and you had to wait till they got off. And you could listen in on their conversation. Is that creepy or what? It's called a party line. There's no party in that. It's a bunch of bull crap. Hey, idiot, I'm trying to call my boy. I want to play some hoops. Can you please hang up? And then, but a lot of times if you were like at a place of work, if you wanted an outside line, you had to hit the 9. I don't know why they chose 9. You push 9 and you get a dial tone. And then you call out. But now we don't even worry about that kind of stuff because we all got cell phones. You know what I love too? I can't even go into a phone place anymore. And I've been with the same phone company since 99 when I first got my cell phone. Is there anything that makes your skin crawl more than these clowns trying to encourage you? Hey, I can get you another line. I don't need another line. I didn't even ask for one. And then they're trying to like offer up their, do you need a landline? No, I don't. Why would I want that? I don't need the upsell on the extra line I have no need for or your landline idea. Nice try, though. And so I've got a buddy, Daniel in Gresham, works for a large carrier. I'm like, dude, why do people always hit me up for this nonsense? Oh, it's upselling, man, with a lot of pressure. Yeah, well, why don't you stop, okay, because it's annoying. But I've never switched, if you can believe that. I'm one of the, I'm like the last Mohican. I have never switched phone companies in my lifetime. I have been with the same cellular provider since 1999. You can say a lot of things about me, but I'm a loyal person, very loyal. I'm brand loyal. And there's certain shoes that I will always wear. I have been with the same phone company for 26 years. Like if you provide a good service and a good product, I will go down with the ship, all right? I'll be like on the Titanic playing the violin. I'm going down with you, man. I'm in. But Joe Montana calling out on the red phone to tell his wife, hi, I love you. Oh, honey, I just want to say I love you, and I can't wait to see you after the game. Oh, by the way, I got to go back on the field. I have to go throw more touchdowns to Jerry Rice. And then he would do that. Can you imagine his wife? Joe, what are you? Aren't you playing a game right now? I'm watching you on TV. I know, but I got a couple of moments here. I just want to see if I could dial out. I mean, can you take a listen to Joe? So good. Hey, Joe.
I don't know what made me do it, but one day I hung up and I'm sitting there going, I wonder if these things call out. So I pick up the phone and I hit, what do you do normally? Hit 9, right? Gives you an outside line. I hit 9. Got a dial tone. I dial my house.
And the phone would ring. I'd pick it up, and it'd be Joe. I go, what are you doing?
I go, hey, how you doing? What are you doing?
It's so good. I love that story. All right, we'll come back, and we'll talk about enough is enough already with the Romo and the Herb Street stuff. And Herb Street should apologize to Carson Wentz. I'll deal with that next. All right, I'm going to say something right now that's probably sacrilegious in the world of football, but I've been thinking about it, and you know what? I'm not down with Kirk Herbstreit. He drives me crazy. Too much of the dog, too much of him, and too much of him criticizing guys when he should shut his mouth. This past Thursday on Prime, you've got the Vikings playing a football game against the Chargers, and he is criticizing Carson Wentz throughout the game because he wants him to act more professional. And then we find out after the fact that Wentz is out there battling through significant injury, showing toughness and care for his team, trying to grind away to help his group get a win. And you got Kirk Herbstreit that's like holier than thou, like criticizing him. I'm like, dude, please shut up. Carson Wentz, we find out, is, out there by choice, playing through injury, doing whatever he can to help his team win and make the most of this opportunity he's got there in Minnesota. But you've got freaking Kirk Herbstreit that's like the untouchable one now, dropping the criticism. It's like, come on, man. Well, you're a college football guy. You probably don't know the pro guys as much as you do the college guys. You might want to just ease up on the criticism. That's not a very good broadcast. I love Al Michaels, and he's a legend, but he's, lost a few miles per hour off his fastball. And then you got Kirk Herbstreit. And enough with the dog already. I love dogs too. I do. I love puppy shots. But enough with the dogs and the crying and the this and the that. It's like, come on, man. I'm trying to watch a football game, Kirk. Please settle down. And enough with the dog. And enough with how much you travel. You got to fly here. You got to fly there. Yeah, I'm really sure it's difficult to travel from game to game in the lap of luxury. Unbelievable to me. But anyways, it just drives me crazy. I've had enough of Kirk Herbstreit and the dog and the criticism. And, are we going to get the public apology for Carson Wentz? Probably not, Kirk. He's too busy with the dogs. Unbelievable. The other person, too, Tony Romo. Right when he came out of the gate, people were like, ooh, Tony Romo knows the plays. Tony Romo's this and that. You know what he is? He's crazy. And he talks too much. And I can't stand him. It's like automatic mute when I see Tony Romo on the broadcast. Unfortunately, he was the clown that was on the call with Jim Nantz for the Broncos-Cowboy game last Sunday. Well, mute. I don't need that in my life. I'll just flip on the iHeartRadio app, pull up KOA, and listen to Dave Logan. I don't need Tony Romo in my life. Too much. Just settle down. Hey, Tony, I know that you played for the Cowboys, okay? I know that you were a good quarterback. But you're not a better broadcaster than Jim Nantz. Stop talking over him. Well, gee, Jim, I don't know. Jim. Shut up. Gosh, it drives me crazy. I don't know, man. Romo and Brady. Brady's not annoying and cracked out like Romo is, but he's no Greg Olson, But, we got to go with the big name. We got to go with Tom Brady, 7 championships. No, just get the best broadcaster in there and let him call the game. Oh, it drives me crazy. But, yeah, I'm out on Herbstreit. Too much drama. But the criticism of Wentz, it's like, come on, man. Wentz is out there grinding through injury, and you just sit there and criticize him. So, anyways, you know how it is. Sometimes you're like, you know what? It's like a song on the radio that's great, but you hear it too much. You're like, I'm done with that. I don't need to hear that song again in my life. That's how I feel about Herbstreit. Settle down and stop criticizing guys if you don't know they're battling through significant injury. You look back at that game last week, Wentz, pretty heroic to be out there in the first place. Yeah, the dogs. I love dogs, too. We all love dogs, but I'm tired of hearing about your dog, Herbstreit, okay? And the tears and it's like, come on. Anywho, I'm going to bring this up. It's not a surprise, but I'll bring it up because, once again, it blows my mind that somebody who is worth like $1 billion, who's one of the most successful athletes in the history of our time, incredibly successful in the business world, and is now a member of the Dodgers ownership team. Like everything this guy touches, Irvin Magic Johnson, or as his teammates knew him, Buck, everything that Buck touches turns to gold. So it is amazing to me that a guy can be that successful and yet communicate in a way that's so ridiculous. I don't know why he feels the need to put out these thoughts on social media, but he does. Now, as we know, the Toronto Blue Jays, 6-2 winners in Game 4 last night. And they're going to get a chance to, obviously Game 5, we all know this, right? We've all been sports fans for a long time. If you got a series, a 7-gamer that's tied up at 2, and you got Game 5, it's the pivotal game. We all know it. If you win Game 5 in a 7-game series when the series is tied up at 2, your chances of winning the series, unless you're the Mariners, increase significantly. Here's what Magic put out on social. I don't even know how this is possible. Keep in mind, this guy's worth like $1 billion. Quote, with the series being 2-2, Game 5 is very important. Whichever team wins takes control of the series. How can you put that out there if you're Magic? And what I don't understand is, like, if you're worth like $1 billion, how can you not have people around you to tell you what you should and should not be doing on social media? Can't you hire someone to be like, hey, bro, hey, Buck, you can't put that out there. Everyone knows that whoever wins Game 5 when the series is tied at 2 will take control of the series. But he's worth $1 billion. I don't understand. Stop doing it, Magic. Buck, hey, Buck, someone get to Buck. Hire somebody. It's like these idiot coaches in the NFL and college that have no idea about clock management. And there's a ton of them. Mario Cristobal, just go down the line. Idiots. Like, these guys are like the incredible recruiters. They can sell ice to an Eskimo. They can do anything, and they can scheme with the best of them. But when you put them in a situation where they got to manage a game and a clock, it's like they put on the dumb cap, and they have no idea what's going on. Why wouldn't you hire somebody, give them like a nice little check and say, hey, I don't care what's going on in the game. I don't care if I'm in a good mood, a bad mood, or whatever. You make sure I don't F up the clock. Can you do that for me? Yeah, I can do that for you. Hire a genius. Hire someone that knows how to manage a game. But they don't do it because they think they got everything. I got this. I got it. Anytime a man in his lifetime has said, dude, I got this, that is code for I'm about to really do something dumb. Magic should hire someone to run his social media to make sure he doesn't put out idiotic comments like that. And these idiot coaches who don't know how to manage a clock should hire someone to manage their clock. With the series being 2-2, Game 5 is very important. Whichever team wins takes control of the series. Okay, thanks, buddy. Keep in mind that guy won 5 championships in the NBA. He's the greatest point guard of all time, and he's made like $1 billion in the business world. And he comes up with that. That's the best you got for me, Irv? Hey, Buck, is that the best you got? Okay, I guess it is. Anyways, what else? What else can I say that's not popular? I don't like Romo. He's too crazy, and he talks over Jim Nantz. I'm out on Herb Street. I'm tired of the whining and the criticism when he has no idea what's going on, and the dogs. Okay, good for you. You have a dog. And your dog travels with you. Good. Do you want a cookie? You know, I have a dog, too. His name's Puppy Shots. And I love Puppy Shots. But I'm not going to sit there and, like, shove him down people's throat all the time. Anyhow, it's too much. I'm out. I'm out on Herb Street, and I've been out on Romo. I was ahead of the curve on Romo. When everyone was trying to sell me on, ooh, he knows the plays. I'm like, no, I don't care. He's too crazy. He's cracked out. Jim. Gee, I don't know, Jim. You know, they could go with the little flare pass here. Gee, I don't know, Jim. And listening to Romo do a Cowboy game is just brutal, too. Who was the guy? Was it, who's that guy that used to quarterback the Dolphins? Bob Greasy? He's the one guy, you know, he called games with Keith Jackson. Oh, Nelly. He was on the call, and I remember he did the Rose Bowl when his son, Brian Greasy, was playing for Michigan, and they were taking on Washington State. And it impressed me that Greasy was able to keep his dome about himself. Like, you did not know that Brian Greasy was his son. There's no way that Tony Romo or Herb Street could ever do a game if their son was playing, because you would know about it. It'd be crazy. It'd be insane. Of course, Herb Street would probably talk about his dog more than his son if he was broadcasting the game where his son was playing quarterback. All right. Enough is enough already with the dogs. What else? I think that's about it. I'm looking forward to the Blazer game tonight. If they get the win tonight against Utah, and keep in mind, it's the house of horrors, right? I got to be careful how I say that. The two worst places, if you look it up, Denver and Utah. Bad, not good, unfortunate. And the reason why is because, I don't know what it is. They've had good teams over the years, altitude, you name it. But you get the win tonight. You're 3-2. You come back home for the game against Denver on Friday. I like where they're at. I love the way this team's playing, the way they compete. All right, I appreciate your time. Coming up next, we've got Chris Burkhart with Blazers Game Day on Rip City Radio, 620. I'll have the network pregame show at 5. And tip-off at 6. Travis Demers will be on the call. So big game. And then the Blazers will be back home against the Nuggets on Friday. So enjoy the game, my friends. Big thanks to Sean Highkin, our Trailblazer insider from Rose Garden Report. Enjoy the game. Have a good night. Chris Burkhart up next with Blazers Game Day.